She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're so blessed that you chose to work with us today to improving, well, your life, my life, all of our lives, because I don't know about you, but sometimes our lives can be really messy and sometimes it can be going really, really good. So whichever way your life is happening today, messy or good or, well, no disaster yet this morning, or whatever it is, we hope that we can help you have a better day by bringing you really important content that maybe you weren't thinking about today, but I promise you're going to think about it now. Hey, do you realize that you had 14,000 hours of schooling from the time you were in kindergarten all the way to the 12th grade? Actually, it might even be more now. I don't even know if that statistic counts all the hours of homework that we had. They're sending kids in kindergarten home with homework now. Really? Hello? But out of all of these hours of schooling, how much time did you learn? How much time was spent on teaching you about finances, about business, about relationships? How many hours that you and I spent in the classroom did we get really the important things that we needed to learn? My friend found this statistic from Albert Einstein I thought was interesting. He says, education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. I guess that's how he felt about his years in school. It's what you got left over after you've forgotten everything you learned in school. Wow. So education, I don't know. You might be one that is 100% for how education is delivered today, or you might be one that has a piece of your own opinion about how you think it should be done, especially with homeschool on the rise. Man, homeschooling has become such a common thing. And more families are turning to schooling their children at home versus putting them through the public or even private school system. We've done both throughout my kids' entire school lives. This is now my second year where I haven't had somebody at home. Throughout all of our kids' lives, there's always been somebody homeschooled at one point or another, and oftentimes two and sometimes three of the kids at the same time being homeschooled. But we chose either a private school or homeschooling situation, of course, with tutors, because there are many subjects that mom could not teach, like Algebra 2. Forget it. In fact, I think it was somewhere around the 5th grade that it started going right over my head, especially science, especially some of the math. Even though I was good in math when I was at school, but I haven't used it since I left school. I use a calculator, just like you do. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that today, right? What in the current school setup, whether you're homeschooling or private schooling or public schooling, do you feel is important to train up our children with? What do you think is important lessons, important education for them to understand so that they can become great citizens someday, wonderful parents, wonderful business people, or people in the marketplace that are bringing awesome value out there, as well as how to understand finances. So let's talk about that today. 844-200-3264 is my number. Again, that's 844-200-3264. We've posted some questions on Facebook. We have had quite a number of people that have a lot to say about education. And by the way, if you haven't come on over and visited us on Facebook or Twitter, we'd love to say hi. We'd love to see your beautiful face, or is it your dog's face that you post on your profile picture? Whatever it is, come and say hi. The Facebook page is Dani Johnson Live. That's D-A-N-I Johnson Live. We also have a free book over there. If you haven't yet come over to the page, we'd love to give you a free copy of the book, First Steps to Wealth. It's a free ebook. It's a 290-page book on how I went from homeless to millions, now multi-millionaire in business, and some things I had to learn along the way, including paying off debt. And so there's 2 chapters on there about paying off your debt, but you can download that free ebook right now. If you run on over to Facebook and hit like, you'll go ahead and get our free book delivered straight to your email immediately. But yeah, we're talking about that. And if you're not comfortable calling in on the show, then come on over to Facebook and tell us how you feel about the current educational system. Government ran, government standards, or have you just said, forget it all, man, I'm going to homeschool homeschool my kids. Either way, we want to hear from you. Your opinion matters here on the Dani Johnson Show. In fact, the Dani Johnson Show is about your opinion. We want to know what we can do to help serve you more, and your thoughts concerning, man, my kids, do I really feel like they're being set up to succeed in the future, or do I feel like they're really being set up to fail? Again, the number is 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. I know this. I certainly didn't learn anything entrepreneurial in school. Nope, not at all. In fact, when I look back on my education, I dropped out of high school. I got pregnant. I was one of those girls, one of those statistics. In fact, we were the statistics all the way around the block, right? Welfare recipients until I was about 12, 13, and 14. And then from there, my parents had money due to a horrible traumatic accident that happened with my mom. She broke her neck. And I moved out of the house when I was 16. And so my parents weren't the churchgoers. The name of Jesus was only a cuss word. And of course, the GD it. Yeah, so my parents were the partiers. They had great music playing in the house, at least the great music that they thought was great from the 80s. I certainly wish there was some great Christian music from the 80s, but it just really didn't exist. There was music. I wouldn't have called it great. Not when you're competing against Rush and Boston and Def Leppard. And, oh, I know you've got your stone in your hand already ready to stone me. Why don't you just throw it in the mirror? That was funny. I don't care who you are. You know it was funny. Throw it in the mirror. Throw it at yourself. He without sin, pick up the first stone. I think that's in the same Bible that you were trying to stone me with. But anyway, the truth is that our current educational system, I think, has a few holes. And it just seems like teachers are working harder than ever. And you know what upsets me about the whole teaching thing? These poor people go to school for 5 years. They spend a lot of money on their education, and their starting salary is $30,000 a year. And their job is to love our children and educate our children and do their very best to prepare the next generation for success. Yet, they've got handcuffs on their hands. These people, yes, they have a great schedule as far as, man, they get the summers off and Christmas off and, winter break in some places. And of course, not winter break, but fall break. And then, of course, spring break, and all the other holidays. Yeah, but the reality is that they're putting in 10, 12 hours a lot of time. A lot of times, 10 to 12-hour days to help educate our children. And many of them started in that field because they love kids. They had maybe a teacher along the way that really did a good job for them, and they wanted to be that inspiring mentor to the next generation. Yet I really feel that they've been crippled. They've been inundated with paperwork. They've been told what they have to teach, which I think is somewhat important. However, there's so much that's being taught to our kids that it just makes me scratch my head and go, why are we learning this? And what are we doing to prepare them for this new digital world? And how are they going to compete in a global economy? Jobs aren't just right down the street anymore. We literally are competing with people in India or in other places, and down in Nicaragua, actually in Central America. It's odd when you really look at it. Or China, of course. There's a huge global land to compete with. Not just our little town, not just our state, not just our nation, but now we're competing against other nations. How are we preparing the kids for that? And how are we preparing them for this digital world we're living in? You know what I mean? Kids with cell phones in their hands at the dinner table. Everybody's spending way too much time in social media, video games. There's so many factors that are infiltrating the minds of the next generation. And do we feel like this is all good? Is this wise? Is this formidable? Is this what it should be? Because here's the facts. We have 5. 3 are adults and married. 2 left. Teenagers who look like they're 25. Every time we're in a restaurant, the servers try to offer them wine or beer. Really? So they're huge. Sometimes they got some huge attitudes to go along with their hairy armpits and their hairy chest. But it went by fast. It really has. And yes, we have supplemented our kids' education the best that we can. But when I look back, I still even go, gosh, I probably should have done this better. I should have done that right. So I think today's show would be really, really helpful if some of us who are on the other side of the educational side, meaning that most of our kids are already gone and there's some things that we wish we would have done differently, what would those things be? And or if you really believe in our educational system, tell me what it is that you feel is really positive and really good and formidable that you've seen in your kids that you think, man, that was the way to go. I'm glad we did it that way. 844-200-3264. If you think the whole school system is a giant scam and that somehow people in high places are doing everything they can to keep the little people, that is us, keep the little people dumb and numb and distracted with entertainment so that bigger things can be happening in the background and we can all be enslaved by the establishment. If that's how you feel, 844-200-3264, I would love to hear your thoughts concerning education, our kids. What do they really need in order to succeed? What do you wish you had learned through school that you felt would have helped you to succeed better? 844-200-3264. Again, that's 844-200-3264. Everything that I've shared so far is, all the different scenarios that I've shared. I can't help but to agree with a bunch of them. Especially when we have, formidable people, people in very powerful places who really did feel and set up our educational system that there should be a class of people that get the better education and a whole other class that are taught to be laborers so that there's more laborers to serve the elites in our nation. Now, I know you're thinking there's no way somebody would have thought that. This is just a great nation, Dani, with just good people in those high places. 844-200-3264. If that's how you feel, we want you to share that. All right, we do. We want to get a good compilation of a lot of different opinions. Whether I agree with you or not, or somebody else agrees with you or not, is not the issue. We just want to give you the opportunity to share. Hey, Dani, I feel like X concerning the educational system right now, and this is what I think needs to happen. 844-200-3264. It's going to be a race to the phones, so pick up the phone right now and start calling us and tell us what your comment is. How do you feel about where it is today? And have you seen some differences as what you learned when you were in school versus what your kids are learning in school? Has history changed somehow? Interesting, right? 844-200-3264. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't just stand there. Soak this up. It's joy, it's encouragement, it's insight to a better life and how to meet your obligations and overcome obstacles.
The Dani Johnson Show.
This is The Dani Johnson Show.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, Do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Now, more of the Dani Johnson Show.
You know, when I look back on my schooling, my formidable years, how come there wasn't any classes teaching me how to manage a checkbook or, you know, the difference between wise and foolish spending? Come on, friend. How come there was no classes teaching me not to go into debt? What about solving relationship problems? Gosh, you know what? If there's one bad form of education I had through school, it was how to be mean. Right? There was no teaching on how to love one another, how to honor each other, how to respect each other. There could have been like some social studies, meaning real social studies, not, you know, calling it social studies, but it was really history. I'm talking like social skill development. There we go. I think that should be a course. Anyway, enough about what I think she needs to be in school. Going over to the phones. We've got Sarah from Wisconsin. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, thank you. No, I think that the original school system has come away from quality education and is now just kind of a huge political propaganda machine, and it tells you what to think starting at 5 years old.
Tell me, how did you come into that ideal that you feel like school is a propaganda machine? Tell me what you mean by that, because there's like people listening right now, they don't have a clue of what a propaganda machine is.
Well, see, everything in the school system, from the curriculum all the way down to the food that they serve on the plate, it all has an alternative agenda, and it's crazy. I didn't know this a few years ago. I kind of started to dig around when I was looking into living healthier, ironically, and it led me down the path of, oh my gosh, like this is who controls the food, and this is what they do with the food, and this is what they're serving the kids at school, and it's just crazy. And how the curriculum, it's not really about education, and every wealthy person that I have sought out and talked to, which has been quite a few in the last few months, none of them send their kids to traditional school. None of them, not one. They all private schools or tutor them. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I had no idea before this.
Yeah.
I was actually going to send my kids to kindergarten. And it was it's a private school, and it's the one that I went to when I was younger. And we grew up, and we had teachers that were bullying and stuff like that, and it wasn't good. And so I was like, I don't think I can send my kid there. And I realized about 6 months ago that they actually teach religion and not faith. They teach like sugar-coated Bible stories that aren't really real, because I actually read the Bible now. So I know that it's different. I know. I went through 8 years of private school, never read the whole Bible. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so in order to fill in the gaps, what I think needs to be done is a lot of parents just have to be more aware of what's going into their children's heads at school and socially, and just becoming active in their children's educational lives. So what I decided to do was send my son to a virtual academy, which is part homeschool. He also gets the social skills. Once a week he goes, and they do art and music, and what we teach is a little bit of sustainable living, being an aware consumer, and we use Netflix for stuff like watching documentaries on historical leaders like Abraham Lincoln, and my 5-year-old loves Abraham Lincoln. It's so cool. And we also we go learn outside, because I really feel like sitting in school from 8:30 till 4:30 every day, it kind of resembles jail, like jail food, jail, sitting inside. I was just terrible.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Wow. That's amazing, Sarah, that you as a young mother has noticed yourself, like, do I want my kid in a propaganda machine? I think it's so interesting that it was health that kind of tipped you off on this. When we researched, the quality of food, the GMOs, oh my gosh, the different things that they're putting in the food really dumbs us out, prepares us with future health problems, and that's what they're serving the kids at school. There really has to be an alternative. And not to mention the things that they're choosing to teach us about our history. You know, this is interesting. Whenever a empire would take on and dominate a whole new area, and we can use this as an example, the British Empire coming in through the Caribbean, the way that they infiltrated those places, the first thing that they did was they destroyed their history. Bahamas, for example. You know, Bohemians don't wear white shirts and a button-down short by nature. They were of an African descent. They were Caribbean. And their language didn't have that beautiful British accent. It just didn't. It's amazing when we can look at them now and hear this beautiful accent. But the fact is, they had their own accent. And so whenever another higher-end people want to take over another, they destroy their history, change the way they dress, and change their food. Kind of sounds like school. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into First Steps to Success, I was a depressed, hopeless, suicidal drug addict. I had no vision for my life. I absolutely hated people, hated myself. I felt shackled by my debt, and I had toxic relationships. Since plugging in, I've been drug-free for almost 18 months. I paid off nearly $14,000 worth of debt in 14 months. I have completely restored my relationships with my friends and my family. I have a vision for my life now, and I'm actually live and not exist anymore. So I don't know if you have debt or not, or if your life's going perfectly the way you want it to go. But if not, I highly recommend you get registered today for the next First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were just lost. We had no hope and light at the end of the tunnel, and we were drowning in debt. After coming to First Steps to Success and plugging into DaniJohnson.com, our income has doubled. We have paid off over $76,000 of debt in just 45 months. My husband and my communication skills have just raised us through the roof, and my husband has cut back his hours, making more income. If you want results like these, you better get to First Steps to Success.
I have been plugging into Dani Johnson for the last 8 years, believe it or not. And people say, why so long? Well, because there's a lot to do in life, and it has changed every area of my life. My business has exploded, my spiritual life has been unmatched, and my relationship with my wife and my family has just been fantastic. We've paid off over $200,000 of debt in just 2 years. We're debt-free, and I just could not be happier. But if you want to change any area of your life, whether it's your business, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your financial situation, or getting out of debt, or your spiritual life, I would tell you, you cannot afford to miss First Steps to Success. It's just been a blessing to me and my family. So I really invite you to just get online and get your ticket to the next First Steps to Success. Thank you very much.
helping you become all you were meant to be. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Did you like school when you were young, or did you hate it? I think I vacillated between both. Sometimes I loved it. Most of the time I hated it. Oftentimes, I didn't see the purpose of it. Man, I felt like I was learning the same thing year after year after year after year and didn't see how it was going to benefit me for my future. And then, I'm telling you, once I got on my own and I got my first job when I was 15, and then I had to support myself fully, my own apartment, my own rent, my own gas, my own electricity, my own car, all of those things when I was 17, I look back, I'm like, and why did I memorize those dates? How did that help me with my job? I just remember going, did I waste time all those years, or was this really a good thing? Now, I'm not saying that school is a waste of time. I'm not saying that at all. I think it's important, and there needs to be a good discipline with it and the right attitude about the work that a kid has to do. But enough about my opinion concerning school. I think there's a whole lot of things wrong with it, but I think that parents, it's up to them to supplement the child's education as we're training them up. Good character issues that need to be trained up in our kids at school is definitely not going to be teaching them. However, like I said, I'm going to shut up about my opinion concerning school, and I want to hear yours. You might be in a place where you feel like, man, our school is awesome, and I think this is where they're hitting the mark, and then you might say that this might be some places that they're missing it. So line one, I've got Linda from Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Hey, wait a minute. Isn't Sandy Hook that place where there was that shooting or whatever for that school?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So you live right there.
I live right here. Yeah, it was awful. It's horrible, and we're still recovering.
Really? Did you know anybody that was shot during that shooting?
We knew neighbors who had children, who had a child. So, yeah, it was very, very awful. I can't even begin to tell you how devastating it was for the community. It was just completely, but we've all come together, and we're all moving forward.
Right.
So it's teaching our children love and compassion, and I think it's teaching them so much about their fellow neighbor.
Right. How old are your kids?
I have actually a college-aged kid who just started her junior year and a senior in high school.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on education?
2 girls. Okay, my thoughts are I'm very concerned with the Common Core state standards. I feel now we were teaching to the test before, but now we're even going to be teaching more to the test. The federal government, they snuck in the back door. They enticed cash-strapped states that were not happy with No Child Left Behind with race-to-the-top funding. So our youngest children are going to suffer the most because the standards that were written are not appropriate for our elementary school-aged children. We're headed in the wrong direction. We have Bill and Melinda Gates, their foundation. They've thrown their money around to unions and to the state PTAs and numerous other private companies. They're trying to treat education like a business. So companies are going to be profiting from Common Core, not children.
Wow.
And I'm worried about my grandkids. You know, I have my kids, thank God, out of the public school system. My older daughter, she went to private. It was night and day, the education between my older daughter and my younger daughter, who wanted to attend the private school because her friends were there. So, the public school, so her friends were there. So there was a big difference. But I'm so thankful I'm done with it because teachers are unhappy. They're afraid to speak up. They feel that if they do, their jobs are going to be endangered. It's such a poisonous environment right now, I think, for our schools. And learning comes from our teachers.
Yes.
I don't have complaints about our teachers. Our teachers are wonderful. Let the teachers do what they do best. Let them teach our children. But they have constraints on them.
They do.
And it's very sad where we're headed.
Yeah, it is. Now, tell me more about, and because I think that there's some people listening that aren't quite following your ideal as far as the Gates family, funding these certain things, that you feel that now it's going to be more about business, and businesses will be profiting on education. Businesses have always profited from education.
Yeah.
They always have. What's the difference?
They always have. And okay, I feel the difference now is that they are aligning they'll say the standards are not curriculum. And that's true, but standards drive curriculum. So the standardized testing that they've revamped, and they've got these new tests that are replacing other tests, they are now saying you don't have to, but you really do. You have to buy Common Core aligned textbooks. What a big business. What an opportunity, especially for Pearson. So now we have all of these new products being marketed to schools saying Common Core aligned. Because if your children do not pass these new Common Core state standards, they can be now assessed to the point where they're staying behind a grade. The consequences are greater now. Even if you homeschool, you say, oh, I'm homeschooling my child. But they're aligning the SAT and the ACT. They are making changes in those, the College Board. So they will align with the Common Core standards. So even if you homeschool your child, if you want them to do well on the SAT and the ACT, well, you have to now fall in line and start purchasing these Common Core aligned products, because if you're teaching your child something else, homeschooling, but yet the ACT and the SAT have questions that your child has never seen before, you're in trouble. It's a big business. It's a big game.
It is. It really is. And here's the other thing: is the new standards or whatever is in this new curriculum? Is it really better, and is it better setting our kids up for success in the future? Do you know what I mean? I could see if it was, then they would have an argument. But is it really?
Say, oh, right. And I think there are a lot of people who say no, especially the math standards. Many experts, math professors are coming out and saying these are just inappropriate for our youngest child.
Wow. Well, all I know is,
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a scary thing, and more and more of this kind of stuff happens, I think more and more people are going to get independent and say, forget it. Forget your SATs, forget your whatever other names of tests that you want to do. Kids can still get into college without that. And not to mention, is our college system really working anyway? I mean, is it really? Does it make a lot of sense to put kids in $50,000, $100,000 in debt and not be able to get them a job making more than minimum wage coming out of college? You know, and even looking at this, like how much money is a kid going to spend even trying to go to school to become a teacher? 5 years of their lives, $50,000 or more to make $30,000 a year? How in the world do you raise a family on that? You know, it's kind of a jacked up system, and I think there needs to be revolt in all reality. You know, I think if enough people are like, forget it. No, we're going in a different direction. Who knows? There's going to be resistance, no question. But I know this. I didn't go to college. My husband didn't go to college. We did quite well. I'm not saying that not going to college is the answer, but I'm saying that it is not the God as we've made it to be in this country. It isn't. It is not the God. Just like, this one drives me crazy. Credit scores. Who makes you think that you need a good credit score? The bank. Who wants to make money off of your debt? Wake up, people. Wake up. Anyway, that's a different conversation for a different time. I appreciate you, Linda. Thank you so much. You're obviously incredibly educated on what you were just talking about. Okay, so that's one direction. That's one opinion concerning the change that's happened in education, whether or not we think it's wise or not. You just heard one woman's take on it. She's saying, I'm glad we're done. I'm glad that my kids are now college age and I don't have to worry about it. However, I am concerned for my grandchildren. You know, once we're a parent, I guess we're always going to be, aren't we? And I guess we're always going to be having this education conversation if we care about the future and we care about the next generation really being set up for doing well versus, doesn't it seem like it's almost like the rat in the wheel, right? The wheel's moving, the rat's in there, and okay, we just stay in this track. You know, you get forced in the track, and now they're trying to force the homeschoolers on the same track. I say no. Listen, you live your life. You live your life. You live your life. You have to do what's right for your family. You've got to do what's right for your children. You got to do what's morally right. And being forced into something you don't agree with, you don't have to do. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
So I just want to give you a little bit of my story. This is my first time sharing my story on stage, so I'm a little nervous. But I'm excited. I was just asked, like, seriously 3 minutes ago to share my story, so we'll see how this goes. So my name, like Ray said, my name's Carradine Roundy. I am from Wyoming. Is there anyone else from Wyoming here? Yeah! I was thinking, I'm like, I think I'm the only one that I've met from Wyoming. That's cool. I'm glad. So prior to plugging into Dani Johnson and First Steps to Success, my husband and I were completely drowning in debt. We got this new job and we increased our income, so we increased our way of living, which is what happens. And we were young, we were just married, and we completely bought more than we needed. We bought a new house, we already had a truck loan, we bought a new car, we lived to the max. And our marriage started to struggle, and we got to where all of our fights were about money constantly. And my husband had a really good job, so we had plenty of money. That was not the issue. It was that we never kept any of it. We spent it on stuff we didn't need. So just a little bit of background. There's just my husband and I, we have no kids, and we bought a 6-bedroom house. I know. Well, that's just, we had the money. The bank told us we had the money we could, so we did. And so obviously we spent the money to fill those rooms in that house on stuff we didn't need. So anyways, our marriage was failing. I mean, we were young, we just got married, and all of our fights were over stupid stuff that was unnecessary. And so I remember one time, just like a quick little look into what it was like. I remember one time sitting in front of our fireplace, our nice fireplace in our nice house, and we were fighting over how we were gonna pay for Christmas for our families. And that was the eye-opener for us, that something had to change. And so we made a decision, and I started a business, and that's what actually opened me up to DaniJohnson.com and to First Steps to Success. And so after coming out of First Steps to Success, we have now been able to pay off, this is crazy, we have now been able to pay off just over $300,000. Which is completely crazy, because we just thought debt was something that you live with. You know, you're always gonna have a mortgage, you're always going to have a house payment, car payments. That's just the way life goes. And little did we know that that's not the case. So we now live in a smaller house. We love it. We actually, I have less house to clean, which I'm good with. And we live so much more simple, and our marriage is completely turned around. We no longer fight about money. We wonder where we're gonna invest into next, and how soon we're gonna get, the mortgage paid off, and that's exciting to us. So everything's just completely changed. And, the relationships that we've been able to grow with other people that are wondering what we're doing, that's been amazing, because we've met so many great people, and learning what Dani's going to teach this afternoon has helped us grow to being people more than anything. And that, we hated people before, both of us. We never had those skills. And so I'm really excited for this afternoon. This afternoon's going to be completely transforming to you. As far as being, like she mentioned this morning, your business is people, your business isn't your product. And so with that being said, I just want to have you help me welcome back my mentor and America's favorite millionaire, Dani Johnson.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
My kids need to go to school, get good grades so they can get a good job. Really? come on, man, that is like as old-fashioned as it gets. Going to school, especially our current school system, with according to the new school standards, and whatever it is that they keep shoveling down our kids' throats, don't seem to be resulting in any kind of a good job, not to mention any kind of good financial success or security for their future. I wish I could say that it did, but it doesn't, especially when the numbers are what they are, that 98% of the population ends up dead or dead broke at the age of 65, depending on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. We have a high percentage of kids going to college where they learn how to drink, have sex with multiple people, have an abortion while they're there, and they leave this wonderful experience with the $50,000 minimum debt. Wow, that they now for the rest of their lives will pay back, with still not any bit of a focus or an identity of who they are, why they're here, what they should do with themselves, and how they should get there. I'm going to stop ranting. Education, how do you feel about it? Do you think that we're on track? Do you think we're off track? I want to know your opinion. All right, we've got Amy from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi. I think the big problem that we face is we've had to take on a parenting role. I've noticed there's a lot of...
Wait, are you saying the teachers? You're saying the teachers have had to take on the parenting role?
We are taking on a parenting role.
Wow.
Yes. I've noticed there's been a lot of lack of respect for adults and property. Yep. And I've been teaching now for about 17 years, and I've noticed that every aspect of teaching gets harder every year. It gets more difficult. Everything across the board gets more difficult. I feel like parents don't want to parent anymore. They just want to drop them off and okay, you guys take care of them. You fix them.
That's kind of like the daycare thing, Amy, isn't it? It's the same thing with the daycare, right? Like mom gives birth.
Yeah.
Okay, she doesn't even try to nurse her own child. 6 weeks later, the kid is dropped off at the daycare, and the daycare is supposed to raise them. Man, wow, Amy, it's such an honor to talk to you. So you're a teacher. You've been teaching for 17 years, and you're saying that it's getting harder and harder because you're having to become the parent, meaning the kid should be coming to school with a baseline of attitude and a skill set. What should that baseline attitude and skill set be?
Well, I just think basic respect for adults, and coming with clean clothes on. We've got kids that wear the same clothes every day. We've got kids that aren't being taken care of, or they're going home and they're having to take care of their siblings. I mean, my school really doesn't do much for homework wise. You get it done during the day, so that because there's so many kids that have to go home and take care of siblings, that homework it can't be done. It can't be an issue. These kids have to take care of the siblings.
Wow.
And the same thing in the morning. They're busy taking care of everyone else in their family, and no one's really looking out for them.
Wow.
And it's hard. It's hard, and it's sad, and it's frustrating because our hands are tied. We're stuck with policies, and now Common Core is coming into play, and everything is placed on us, and it's just it's really a battle, and I don't know how to win it. I don't think we can.
Wow. Okay, so Amy, what grade do you teach?
I teach 6th grade.
6th grade. And so you're saying within the 6th graders, those are the older siblings of a household, and they're having to take care of themselves and their siblings.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, are you in a low-income area, or is this a high-drug area?
Not really. No, it's kind of a combination. It's really a combination.
So
we see more and more of it every year.
Wow. And so are you saying that even the, let's say the middle-class parents are not parenting their children?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, it's across the board. I think it's just everybody's either they're so busy working, or they're working multiple jobs, and there's nobody home.
Yep. Wow. And so then you feel like the kids are taking it out on you with their disrespect. Do you find that they're taking it out on other students too, where they're lashing out to other classmates? You were saying there's no respect for.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, we have it seems like some kids really struggle with social skills. They're really struggling with, having to just talk to other students about things or just different social situations. They're really struggling with those. And we have a kind of a homeroom thing every morning where we try to work on character, and we have discussions, and we talk about what's good character, and we talk about how to be nice to each other and how to be respectful to each other. And but it just feels like I feel like it's not enough. It has to come from home too.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. Man, thanks so much for speaking up from the teacher's perspective and sharing with us your view. You know what I mean? You're right there in the classroom, and I don't even want to talk about the salary that you get paid to do this job. Right? She's laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the debt you had to go into to get the job, it's like, it's kind of sad. And so it's basically a breakdown in our society, just as a people, right? These are basic skills: respect of others, self-respect of my own space, respect of the adults, right? There's that when there's no respect, there's no dignity. There's none.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And all for what, right? Are these mostly single-parent homes? Or is this just straight across the board?
Yeah, a lot. And I'm even noticing now it's grandparents.
Meaning the grandparents are raising the kids.
So the grandparents are raising the kids.
Common in the Caribbean, not common here. That's weird, isn't it?
No, not really. Yeah, not really.
Wow.
So,
Those are some major changes that have happened over the last several decades, right? We got grandparents raising their grandchildren. They're going to do that differently, no question.
Right.
Single-parent homes on the rise. Wow, that's different. And daycares, right? The kids being raised in daycares. They're treated like cows, shoveled into a room, and everyone's supposed to do everything this certain way, and then it's the same thing running through the school system. Yeah, I agree. I bet it is getting harder and harder. And then, of course, the pressure from the government and their changes that are not helping the situation. You know what I mean? This is the real on-the-ground issue, and none of their standardized whatever is helping these issues right here, because there could be something that could help get kids and motivate them to have better character, motivate them to be better people, inspire them to live beyond what their current circumstances are. I've seen it, and I know that kids are totally able to grab onto vision like that. Amy, it sounds like you haven't heard about the book, Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is being taught in universities, and it's been noted as the best parenting book that has ever hit the market. It's Grooming the Next Generation for Success. There's a home study course that goes with it. Teachers are going crazy over the content that's inside of that book. And it's how to take the current, lack of morals in the current system in which we're living in, and how to motivate the kids out of that and becoming the kind of leaders that they should be. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
No matter what you think, feel, or imagine, if you want to make things right in your own life, you have to focus and believe. Stay tuned for helpful advice on life and more on The Dani Johnson Show.
Did you know you can take The Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org. The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
We're back. Here's Dani Johnson.
Okay, well, I have to admit, Annette threw me for a loop. She really did. Okay, she has to be by far the first caller that has definitely swayed me from a position in which I was standing so very firm on, right? She's been teaching for 25 years, and I just, I want to know, like, okay, so isn't it different? Aren't the kids different than they were 25 years? And she goes, no. The form in which they act out their stuff is different, that's all. I'm like, no. But, right on the break when we took this, I was asking, because here, okay, let me bring you up to speed. We have fourth graders, right? There's fourth graders in our country that are taking sexy pictures of themselves, saying that they're 13 or 14 or 15 or 18. Yeah, how do you do that? I've seen them. I've seen the pictures that little girls are taking of themselves. The whole selfie movement is disgusting. Look at me. But at the same time, yeah. She goes, no, yeah, okay, no, there wasn't fourth graders, making themselves look sexy. But there were those fourth graders trying to entice a little boy under the bleachers. And I'm like, God, that was me for sure. Awful. Or kissing my cousin underneath the van at my aunt's house. Ew. Ew. It turned out he wasn't my cousin, though. It's okay. We just called each other cousins, right? The family. Anyway, whatever. But I was asking on the break, like, my coworkers, like, okay, Raven, were you one of those little fourth grade girls under the bleachers? She goes, oh, no, ma'am. I was a good girl. And then I asked John. He goes, nope, we didn't have any bleachers, but I knew all about playing doctor. I was like, I forgot about that. And it's true, right? Yes. So I guess Annette is right. There is just a different form. There's just a different form of how the kids are expressing themselves. Doctor, do you remember that one? It was bad. It was bad. Playing doctor. So now kids get to do everything digitally. So, and check it out. Okay, and I gotta say, my hat's off to Annette. Yeah, she's got some wisdom and she's sensible, because I am absolutely the one that freaks out about this. I do. It's terrible. Man, when I have sons and daughters, right? So when my oldest daughter first told me that, at her high school, and it's a complicated situation. One of these days, her and I'll get on the show and talk about it. But my first daughter, I didn't have the pleasure or the honor of raising. I made a very stupid choice in being enticed to making a decision I should have never made. But she was raised for 14 years by her adoptive parents. And they were very wealthy, and she went to a very affluent high school. And, man, the things that I would hear, it just, oh, my baby, it's really awful. And then when I would hear this whole sexting thing, it was like, oh gosh, I just wanted to protect my kids from all of these kinds of pressures. And it's really funny how we do say, the peer pressure that kids have today is so different than we had it when we were kids. But I think Annette is right. It's probably the same. We just have today they have a different medium of doing it. Just like what she said with the note passing, right? Okay, I know that today was about education and it wasn't about the difference with the kids. And you know what's funny is the first teacher that had called in, she was saying that the kids, the sixth graders, or many of them are having to raise their own siblings. Well, I was the same way. That was in my generation, and I was born in 1969. And I definitely had to step up and be the parent in my household because my parents weren't being parents. They were partying like rock stars, smoking weed and doing all other kind of drugs. And dinner sometimes would be Wonder Bread with garlic, salt, and margarine. Ugh, you should never combine those three things together. That is so disgusting. Anyway, yeah, so I guess some of us need to chill out. I'm looking in the mirror right now, right? Some of us need to chill out. So, yeah, I guess kids are kids. Yeah, were you the girl kissing the guy underneath the bleachers? Well, translated in today's world, you're the girl taking a sexy picture of yourself in the 4th grade, trying to get some older guy to like you. Yuck. Right? Yeah, I guess flirting is nothing new. I guess trying to get your first kiss is nothing new either. And I also guess that, yeah, that not wanting to do your homework is nothing new. And I guess the government trying to create some new standards is nothing new. I guess there's nothing new under the sun. Hey, we got Krista from Canada. Krista from BC, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We got just a couple minutes left to talk about education. What's going on up there concerning education, and how do you feel about it?
Hi, Dani. Thanks for taking my call. It's been a challenge here, but actually the teachers are on strike here. So my son is not in school right now, so I'm looking at some creative ways to educate him here. He's in grade 12 this year, so it's kind of throwing a wrench in the whole plan, and it's very frustrating for parents here.
Yeah.
I know teachers are working hard, but it seems like the government and the teachers union are kind of using my kid as a pawn, and it's not feeling good.
Wow. Now, why are the teachers on strike?
They want some more money. They don't like the class size, and I think they're frustrated because some kids are special needs and they're thrown into the mix, and they don't get enough time. But now all the kids are out, so I don't think it's working. I think strikes are demanding something, and it's just frustrating.
So, Krista, do you agree at all with the teachers? Do you agree with the teachers? I mean, first of all, do you know how much they're making?
I don't know if this is legit, but someone has told me they're making about $80,000 a year here.
I don't know. I would do some research yourself. If that's the case, every teacher in America needs to move to Canada. I think Annette's still on the line laughing right now. I don't know how old the teachers are that are at that school, but I know here in America, when you start off at $30,000 a year, I have a friend that's been teaching for 30 years, and they make $50,000 a year after 30 years. So a teacher that's teaching high school that makes $85,000 a year, I don't know. I'd be checking that out. If that's the case, they shouldn't be striking. They need to be grateful because teachers don't make that kind of cash. There's professors that don't make that kind of money. Because I looked into it for education for my youngest son. Like, what was the difference in money for being a professor versus just a teacher? Because he has an incredible gift with kids, and he loves musical art, and he writes. And so I thought, let's look at the difference in that. And it's really not that big of a difference in pay. Both a professor working for a community college is going to make $30,000 a year starting. And depending on if they go into a university, they might make $50,000 a year starting. But the educational world, for some reason, does not pay very well for these teachers who are educating our kids. So I would do your own research. You know how gossip goes, right? You know, like, can you believe these people? They're making $85,000 a year. You know, I would do your own research. And what about that classroom size? Let me ask you this. How well do you do with 25 kids of the same age in one room?
Well, I think that you better have a command of respect for the children. I think it depends. It depends, right? I remember when I was in school, my classrooms were pretty big too, so I'm not sure how much that has changed, but I think there's probably an issue of respect there too.
Yeah,
I know some kids these days, like you were mentioning before,
They can be pretty mouthy, which is really sad that they can be so darn mouthy. Hey, I appreciate you, Chris. It sounds like Canada and U.S. have something in common. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much for joining me today. God bless you. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow with another topic that's going to rock your life.
You've been listening to The Dani Johnson Show. It's our belief that you can live a better, healthier, happier life. All you need is a little encouragement, a different perspective, a positive force in your life. Get that and more on the next Dani Johnson Show.